The deep black of space stretched endlessly around the human starship Aurora's Light. Its silver hull reflected the glow of nearby stars as it slowly moved through unknown territory. Inside the ship, the crew worked with quiet focus, knowing they had crossed into a part of the galaxy controlled by an alien empire. For years, humans had dreamed of reaching this place, but none had dared until now. Captain Elias Ward stood at the front of the command deck. He was a tall man with sharp eyes, but his voice was calm when he spoke. "Stay steady. We don't know how they will greet us." His words carried both hope and warning. Humanity was young compared to the great alien powers, and this first meeting could decide their future. Beside him, Ambassador Daniel Hale adjusted his collar nervously. He was the chosen diplomat for this mission, carrying the responsibility of representing Earth to the alien empire. His heart pounded as he thought about what lay ahead. Humanity had survived wars, disasters, and hardships on Earth, but this was different. This was the first step into a larger galaxy. The ship's sensors detected movement. A fleet of alien vessels appeared on the edge of the viewing screen. Their designs were strange, shaped like curved wings of glass and stone glowing softly as they moved. The human crew whispered in awe. Never had they seen ships so beautiful yet so intimidating. "They're hailing us," said Lieutenant Mara, her fingers tapping quickly on the console. "On screen," Captain Ward ordered. The image of the alien queen appeared before them. She sat on a throne of crystal, her tall form surrounded by light. Her skin shimmered like polished metal, and her eyes glowed a deep emerald. Around her stood guards in ornate armor, watching with cold silence. The queen's voice echoed, smooth but commanding. "You enter the domain of the Sarathian Empire," she said. "Few outsiders are permitted here. State your purpose." Ambassador Hale bowed his head slightly. "We come in peace. We are explorers from Earth. We seek friendship, knowledge, and understanding between our peoples." The queen's expression was unreadable. For a long moment the room was silent. Then she raised her hand. "Very well. You will be received. But know this, our empire is ancient and powerful. Weakness has no place here." The communication ended. The humans exchanged nervous glances. To them, her words were clear. They would be judged. The Aurora's Light followed the alien escort ships to a grand space station. It floated above a glowing planet, its towers reaching into the void like frozen spires. The humans prepared to disembark, their hearts heavy with the weight of the unknown. Inside the station, the humans were led to a hall filled with alien nobles. The chamber was vast, its walls carved with symbols of stars and battles. At the far end, the alien queen sat on her throne, watching every movement with sharp, calculating eyes. Ambassador Hale stepped forward. His voice was steady, though his palms sweated. "On behalf of Earth, I thank you for welcoming us. We hope to share peace and learning with your people." The nobles whispered among themselves, their tones doubtful. To them, the humans looked small and fragile compared to the tall, armored aliens. The queen lifted her hand, silencing the whispers. "Peace," she repeated softly. "It is a noble word. But peace is not given freely. It is earned through strength." Her eyes locked on Hale. "Tell me, human, what strength does your kind possess?" Hale hesitated. How could he explain the resilience of humanity? How could he describe centuries of survival against famine, storms, and wars? Before he could answer, an accident changed everything. A servant carrying a tray of alien devices stumbled near the delegation. The tray crashed to the floor, and one of the sharp fragments flew across the hall. It struck Ambassador Hale's arm, cutting deep into his flesh. He gasped and staggered back, clutching his arm as blood spilled through his fingers. The nobles gasped. Some sneered. To them, it seemed the fragile human could not even withstand a simple cut. They whispered that humans were weak and unworthy of standing in the queen's presence. But the queen's eyes widened. She rose slowly from her throne, her emerald gaze fixed on Hale's wound. Her expression was not of mockery, but of shock. "This cannot be real," she murmured. Her voice, though soft, echoed through the hall. "That wound. It should not bleed so freely." And yet, she stepped closer, ignoring the protests of her guards. Her tall figure loomed over Hale, but her eyes were filled not with scorn, but with fascination. "Your body fights against the injury even as I watch." Hale winced in pain but stood firm. "It is just a wound. Humans heal. We always heal." The queen studied him in silence, her thoughts racing. In her empire, wounds of such depth often led to slow decline. But here was a human, still standing, still speaking, with fire in his eyes despite the pain. The cut that should have left him faint instead revealed a hidden strength. The chamber grew quiet. Every noble waited for the queen's reaction. Finally, she turned to them and spoke. "These humans are strange," she declared. "They are fragile in appearance, yet their flesh carries secrets. Their weakness is not weakness at all. It is survival." The nobles looked at each other uneasily. They had expected laughter, dismissal, and perhaps rejection of the humans. But instead, the queen seemed intrigued. Ambassador Hale, holding his wound, met her gaze. "We are not the strongest nor the fastest, but we endure. That is the strength of humanity." The queen did not reply at once. Instead, she returned to her throne, her face unreadable. "The Sarathian Empire will test these words," she finally said. "You may remain for now, but know this. We will see what your endurance is truly worth." The humans bowed in respect, though their hearts raced. They had survived the first meeting, but they knew the real trials were still to come. That night, back aboard the Aurora's Light, Hale sat in the medical bay while a nurse treated his wound. Captain Ward stood beside him, concern in his eyes. "You nearly collapsed in front of her," the captain said quietly. Hale shook his head. "No, I stood." That's what she noticed. It wasn't the wound that mattered. It was the fact that we can take a blow and keep going. Captain Ward gave a faint smile. "Then maybe that's what will save us here." Outside the ship's window, the alien space station glowed against the dark stars. Humanity had taken its first step into a wider galaxy, and though they were seen as fragile, a single wound had revealed a secret. Humans were not weak at all. They were something the galaxy had never truly faced before. The alien queen had seen it herself, and in that moment of shock, a new chapter began. The hall of the Sarathian throne still echoed with whispers long after the humans left. The alien queen, Seraphina, sat in silence, her emerald eyes fixed on the memory of the wound she had witnessed. The image of the human's blood, the way it flowed and yet did not seem to weaken him as expected, would not leave her mind. Her advisors gathered around her throne. One of them, Lord Kalor, bowed deeply. "My queen, forgive my words, but these humans are frail. You saw how easily their skin tore. They will not survive long in this galaxy." But Seraphina lifted her hand, silencing him. "You saw the cut, yes, but you did not see as I saw." His eyes did not surrender. His body resisted. A wound that would leave one of our kind bedridden did not break him. "There is something strange about them." The nobles exchanged glances, some doubtful, some curious. Seraphina leaned back in her throne. Her empire had ruled over dozens of species, each conquered or allied through strength. Yet never had she encountered a race that seemed both so weak and so resilient at the same time. Meanwhile, aboard the human ship Aurora's Light, Ambassador Daniel Hale sat in the medical bay, his wound wrapped in bandages. The pain throbbed, but he did not complain. Captain Elias Ward visited him often, speaking in low tones. "She stared at you as if she had seen a ghost," the captain said. "What do you think it means?" Hale thought carefully. "I think she expected us to collapse at the first sign of pain. But pain is part of who we are. On Earth we have survived storms, hunger, even wars. We always heal. Perhaps she has never seen such a thing before." The captain nodded. "Then we must be careful. If she is curious about us, she may not leave us in peace. Curiosity can be dangerous." The next day the humans were invited back to the Grand Hall. This time the queen did not sit silently. Instead, she stepped down from her throne and walked among them. The nobles gasped, for it was rare for their ruler to leave her seat of power. Her tall figure towered over the humans, her metallic skin gleaming in the light. "Ambassador Hale," she said, her voice calm yet sharp. "Tell me of your people. How do you live? How do you survive on your world?" Hale hesitated, then spoke with steady words. "We live on a planet called Earth. It is not an easy world. We have deserts, frozen lands, great storms, and oceans that rise and fall. But we learn to adapt. We build shelter, we farm the land, we cross the seas. Our history is filled with struggles, but every struggle has made us stronger." The queen tilted her head, her emerald eyes studying him closely. "And when you are wounded? Do all humans recover as you do?" Hale smiled faintly. "We do not all recover quickly. Some wounds leave scars. Some never heal completely. But we keep moving forward. That is how we live." Her expression remained unreadable, but she gave a small nod. "Scars," she repeated softly, as if the word carried new meaning. She turned to her nobles. Prepare a test. I wish to see this endurance for myself. That evening, the humans were led to a training arena deep within the station. The walls glowed with alien symbols, and in the center stood a platform surrounded by Sarathian guards. The queen sat high above, observing. The air was tense, every alien noble watching with eager eyes. A Sarathian warrior stepped forward, his armor gleaming. He bowed to the queen. Shall I begin, my queen? Serafina nodded. Do not harm them beyond recovery. I wish to see their limits. Ambassador Hale looked uncertain, but Captain Ward placed a hand on his shoulder. This is what she wants. Let's show them what humans can do. The trial began. The Sarathian warrior presented a series of challenges. Heavy weights to lift, long distances to run, puzzles to solve under pressure. To the aliens, these were ordinary exercises. To the humans, they were daunting. But one by one, the crew stepped forward, taking turns with determination. Lieutenant Mara struggled to lift the heavy stones, but with steady effort, she moved them across the platform. The aliens murmured in surprise. Another crew member solved a puzzle of shifting lights, showing patience rather than speed. Each time, the humans did not give up, even when their bodies shook with exhaustion. The queen leaned forward on her throne, her eyes never leaving them. She noticed something her nobles did not. The humans encouraged one another. When one faltered, the others cheered. When one grew tired, another stepped in to help. Their strength was not in individual power, but in unity. After hours of trials, the humans stood breathless but unbroken. Their faces were marked with sweat. Their muscles ached, yet their spirits did not fall. Ambassador Hale, his wounded arm still bandaged, joined them at the center of the arena. He raised his voice so all could hear. You asked what makes us strong. This is our answer. We may stumble, we may bleed, but we rise again. We do not face trials alone. We endure together. The hall fell silent. The nobles who once mocked the humans now looked at them with a mixture of awe and doubt. Could it be that such fragile beings carried a hidden power greater than their own? The queen stood slowly, her gaze thoughtful. Endurance, she said, her voice carrying across the arena. It is not the strength of the arm nor the speed of the leg. It is the strength of the heart. These humans, they carry a fire I cannot yet explain. Later, in her private chamber, the queen sat alone. The stars beyond her window glimmered like cold jewels, but her mind was restless. She replayed the sight of Hale's wound, the humans' struggle, their unity. Her empire valued power, but power could be broken. What she saw in humans was different. It was something that endured even when broken. Her advisor, Lord Kalor, entered. My queen, why waste time on these creatures? They are not warriors. They are fragile. Serafina turned to him, her eyes flashing. You are blind, Kalor. Do you not see? Fragile things should break, and yet they do not. Their wounds do not end them. Their weakness is not weakness, it is survival. If they can endure, they can outlast. Kalor lowered his head, uneasy at her words. The queen turned back to the stars, whispering to herself, What are you, humans? What secret do you carry? Back aboard the Aurora's light, the crew gathered together, speaking quietly of the trials. Some were proud, others nervous. Captain Ward looked at each of them, his voice steady. She is testing us. Every step we take, every word we speak, she is watching. Do not forget that. We must show her what humanity truly is. Ambassador Hale touched his bandaged arm and nodded. She saw my wound and did not laugh. She saw something she could not explain. That is our chance. If she understands us even a little, then perhaps we can stand in this galaxy as equals. The crew fell silent, each of them realizing the weight of his words. This was no longer just about survival. This was about proving humanity's worth. The alien queen, Serafina, looked out at the endless stars that night. In her heart, a question echoed again and again. Could it be that the smallest flame, the weakest body, hides the greatest strength of all? She did not yet have the answer, but she knew one truth. The humans were not what they seemed. And she would not rest until she uncovered the secret that made them endure. The days that followed were filled with tension. The Sarathian Empire watched the humans with sharp eyes, waiting to see if their endurance was truly real or only an illusion. The alien queen, Serafina, ordered new trials, greater tests that would push the humans beyond the limits of comfort. She wished to know whether their survival was chance or truth. Ambassador Daniel Hale woke early aboard the Aurora's light. His arm still carried the wound from the hall, wrapped tightly in bandages. It throbbed as he moved, but he welcomed the pain. To him, it was a reminder of why they were here. The Queen had seen his blood and questioned his strength. Now he would show her what humanity was made of. Captain Elias Ward joined him in the observation deck. The stars glowed outside, shining cold and distant. "She's planning more tests," the captain said. "You can see it in her eyes. She won't rest until she knows what we are." Hale nodded slowly. "Then we'll give her our answer. Not in words, but in action." That morning, the humans were summoned to the arena once more. This time it was not empty. Dozens of alien nobles filled the seats, eager to witness the strange newcomers. The Sarathian warriors stood ready, their tall forms clad in gleaming armor. At the far end of the hall, the Queen herself sat high upon her throne, her emerald eyes unblinking. "Humans," her voice rang clear, echoing against the crystal walls. "You have shown spirit in simple trials. But spirit alone is not enough. Today you will face challenges that no outsider has endured. If you succeed, perhaps you will prove your worth. If you fail, then you will confirm what many believe, that you are too fragile for this galaxy." The nobles murmured, their voices sharp with doubt. Many expected the humans to fail. Yet the Queen's gaze was steady, filled with curiosity rather than cruelty. The first trial began with fire. The humans were led into a chamber where flames roared from vents in the floor. The heat pressed against their skin, making the air shimmer. The Sarathians, built for strength, moved with ease, their metallic skin reflecting the fire. But the humans were different. Sweat poured from their brows, their lungs burned, yet they pressed forward. Lieutenant Mara stumbled but caught herself, wiping sweat from her eyes. "Keep moving," Captain Ward called. Together they pushed through the scorching chamber step by step, refusing to stop. When they reached the end, their clothes clung to their skin and their faces were flushed with heat, but they were still standing. The nobles whispered in surprise. Few species could endure the flame chamber. The Queen leaned forward slightly, her eyes narrowing. She had expected them to fall. Instead, they had endured. The second trial was of cold. The humans were led into a frozen chamber where ice coated the walls and the air stung like knives. The Sarathians rarely used this chamber, for their kind struggled with low temperatures. But the humans, they had faced winters on Earth, snow, frost, storms. They knew the bite of cold. Their breath turned to mist as they moved. Hale's wound ached in the chill, but he gritted his teeth. He thought of his home, of walking through icy winds, of surviving storms that had buried whole cities in snow. The memory gave him strength. "This is nothing," he whispered to himself. "We have seen worse." When the trial ended, the humans emerged shivering, their lips blue but their eyes still burning with determination. The Sarathian nobles stared in silence. Even in the cold, the humans had endured. The third trial was of endurance. The humans were taken to a vast chamber filled with shifting ground and obstacles. They were ordered to run, climb, and push forward without rest. Hours passed. The Sarathian warriors, strong at first, began to slow. Their heavy frames were powerful but not built for long struggle. The humans, though smaller and weaker in muscle, pressed on. Their steps were unsteady, but they never stopped. When one stumbled, another reached out to pull them up. When one fell, the others waited until they rose again. From her throne, Queen Seraphina watched closely. She saw something the nobles did not. It was not only the humans' bodies that endured, it was their spirit. They ran not only for themselves, but for each other. Every scar, every wound, every moment of exhaustion became fuel for their fire. Finally, when the trial ended, the humans collapsed together, breathless but smiling faintly. They had endured. The nobles murmured in disbelief. Some even rose to their feet, unable to hide their surprise. The last trial was the most dangerous. The humans were placed in a chamber filled with shifting illusions. The walls closed in, shadows moved, and voices whispered fear into their ears. It was a test of the mind, designed to break even the strongest will. Many alien species had failed here, fleeing in terror or collapsing in despair. The humans entered with wary eyes. The illusions came quickly, visions of failure, of loss, of endless pain. But the humans did not surrender. They clung to memories of home, of family, of Earth. They whispered to one another, reminding themselves of who they were. "This is not real," Hale said firmly. "We have faced worse in our history. We will not break." And so they endured, not by denying fear, but by facing it. When the trial ended, the illusions faded. leaving the humans standing together, tired but unbroken. The hall fell silent. For a long moment no one spoke. Then the nobles began to murmur, not with mockery but with awe. The humans had endured every trial, even those meant to break them. Their bodies were weaker, yes, but their spirit was something no one could deny. Queen Seraphina rose slowly from her throne. Her emerald eyes swept over the humans, her voice calm but heavy with meaning. You have endured fire, cold, strain, and fear. You have shown me something I did not expect. Your strength is not the strength of the body, but of the spirit. You endure not alone, but together. The nobles bowed their heads, though many still looked uneasy. For the first time, they began to see the humans not as fragile creatures, but as something different, something dangerous in its own way. That night in her private chamber, Seraphina stood before the great window watching the stars. Her mind was restless. She had tested the humans, expecting them to fail. Instead, they had endured. She thought of Hale's wound, of the trials, of their unity. For the first time in centuries, the queen felt uncertain. Lord Kalor entered, his voice sharp. My queen, they are not warriors. Yet you show them favor. Why? Seraphina turned, her eyes shining with quiet fire. Because they carry a power I cannot ignore. Not power of muscle or blade, but something greater. They endure wounds, heat, cold, fear, and they rise again. Tell me, Kalor, what empire can defeat those who refuse to fall? Kalor lowered his head, unable to answer. The queen returned to the stars, whispering softly, These humans, they are not weak. They are dangerous in a way we have never faced. Back aboard the Aurora's light, the humans gathered together. Their bodies ached, their muscles burned, but their hearts were strong. Captain Ward looked at each of them, his voice firm. We did not win because we are the strongest. We won because we endured. She saw it. The whole empire saw it. Ambassador Hale touched his bandaged arm, feeling the throb of pain. And this wound, he said quietly, was the beginning. She saw the truth in it. She will not forget. The crew nodded, their faces serious. They knew more trials would come, but they also knew something greater. They had shown the galaxy that humans were more than they appeared. That night, the alien queen dreamed. She dreamed of a small flame, fragile and flickering, yet refusing to die. She dreamed of humans standing again and again, no matter how many times they were struck down. When she woke, her heart whispered the words she could not deny. Their strength is not power. Their strength is survival. And deep within her, suspicion grew, not of weakness, but of something far more unsettling. Humans might be the most enduring force the galaxy had ever known. The Sarathian Empire was vast, stretching across dozens of star systems, yet even in its expanse, danger could not be ignored. A sudden alarm rang through the alien space station. A massive meteor storm had appeared near the planet below, threatening both the station and the surrounding colonies. The Sarathians moved quickly, but even their swift response could not fully protect the settlements. The queen watched from her throne, concern etched into her shining features. Prepare all defenses, she ordered. This storm may reach the colonies in hours. Evacuate where necessary. Her advisors and warriors moved with speed and precision. Yet as the storm approached, it became clear that even the Sarathians' strength might not be enough. Ships were damaged, communication lines disrupted, and the colonies below trembled under the meteor onslaught. Among the humans aboard the Aurora's light, Captain Elias Ward gathered his crew. We face storms on Earth, he said. Hurricanes, floods, earthquakes. Nothing stops us when we work together. We can help here. Ambassador Daniel Hale nodded. His arm, still healing from the old wound, was a reminder of their journey so far. They saw our endurance in trials, he said quietly. Now they'll see what we can do when survival isn't a test, it's real. The humans volunteered immediately to assist the Sarathian effort. The queen, observing, raised her eyes in mild surprise. These fragile beings, who had barely survived the trials, now offered themselves to protect the empire she had once assumed would see them as weak. The humans moved to the disaster zones. They worked tirelessly, helping repair damaged ships, guiding civilians to safety, and reinforcing the station's shields. Their methods were simple but effective: cooperation, quick thinking, and the ability to adapt to unexpected challenges. While the Sarathian warriors relied on sheer strength, the humans combined endurance, creativity, and persistence. One small team of humans worked on repairing a damaged communications array. their hands moving swiftly even as sparks flew and machinery shook. Lieutenant Mara, her sleeves rolled up, adjusted wires with care, murmuring encouragement to her teammates. "We can do this," she said. "If we all focus, we'll restore the signal." And they did. The array hummed to life, sending critical warnings across the colonies. A group of children trapped in a nearby settlement received messages to evacuate. Thanks to the humans, countless lives were saved. Meanwhile, the alien queen observed from above. Her emerald eyes narrowed as she watched Hale move through the chaos. He carried supplies, directed teams, and even managed to inspire other humans and Sarathians alike. She noticed the faint scar on his arm, the wound she had first seen during their first meeting. Despite the strain, he did not falter. Each step he took seemed to grow stronger, not weaker. The queen whispered to herself, "How? How can one endure so much and yet rise higher each time? This is not weakness, this is something else entirely." A Sarathian advisor, Lord Kalor, stood beside her, frowning. "My queen, these humans are still small. They have helped, yes, but they are not warriors. Do not overestimate them." Serafina turned her gaze sharply toward him. "Kalor, do not mistake their size for weakness. They survive wounds that would leave our kind helpless. They endure challenges we designed to break the strongest of us. There is a force in them that cannot be measured by muscle or armor." Hours passed. The meteor storm raged, and yet the humans pressed on. Hale moved between teams, checking supplies, offering encouragement, and coordinating rescue operations. His small crew lifted debris, patched shielding units, and even guided frightened colonists through unstable corridors. One injured colonist, a young Sarathian child, cried out from beneath fallen rubble. Hale knelt beside her, his bandaged arm aching from the effort, and whispered, "Don't be afraid. We'll get you out." With careful precision, he cleared the debris and lifted her to safety, passing her to waiting hands. The queen's eyes widened as she watched. "Every wound they have faced," she murmured, "every trial. They carry it forward, not as weakness but as strength." How is this possible? The storm finally began to subside, leaving destruction in its wake. Ships were damaged, buildings cracked, and the colonies bore scars of the meteor onslaught. Yet thanks to the humans, far fewer lives were lost than expected. Serafina descended from her observation point and walked among them. She stopped before Ambassador Hale, who was helping his crew load supplies onto a transport ship. Her gaze softened yet remained intense. "You endure beyond what I expected," she said quietly. "Your wound, your body, it bears strain, yet you rise stronger than before." "This is impossible." Hale looked at her with calm eyes. "We do not see it as impossible," he said. "Pain, struggle, hardship, they are part of life. They teach us, shape us, and give us courage. We endure because we must, and we rise because giving up is not an option." The queen studied him, her expression unreadable. For centuries, she had ruled the most powerful empire in the galaxy. She had faced enemies who wielded the strongest weapons and most advanced technology. Yet she had never faced a force like this, simple, enduring, unstoppable in its persistence. The Sarathian nobles began to murmur among themselves. "They are small," one said quietly, "but their courage is extraordinary." Another nodded. "We believed their strength was only in their trials. But now we see, it is real. It cannot be ignored." Serafina turned back to Hale. "I have tested you, watched you, pushed you to your limits. And still you rise. This power, this hidden strength, it is unlike anything my empire has ever known. Tell me, human, what is it that makes you endure so?" Hale smiled faintly. "It is not one thing, Your Majesty. It is many things. Hope, courage, unity, and the will to survive. Every scar, every wound, every struggle teaches us something. We do not fear pain. We learn from it, and we never face it alone." The queen's eyes softened slightly, though a spark of awe remained. She had expected weakness. She had expected fear. Instead, she found something that rivaled her own empire's might, a quiet, unyielding power that could not be broken. That night, Serafina convened her council. "These humans," she said, "carry a secret strength. Not of body, not of weapon, not of armor, but of spirit. This is something I do not yet fully understand. We have faced countless enemies, yet none have endured like this. They survive wounds, disasters, and fear, yet they rise every time." Lord Kalor frowned. "But they are still humans. They are small, fragile. They cannot match our warriors." Serafina shook her head. "You are blind, Kalor. Strength is not always measured by size or force. It is measured by endurance, courage, and will. These humans may appear small, but their power lies in their persistence. They endure where others fall. They rise when others break, and that may be the greatest strength in the galaxy. Back aboard the Aurora's Light, Hale and his crew gathered to rest. Their bodies ached from hours of work, their faces marked with sweat and soot, yet their hearts were light. They had survived not only the trials of the Queen, but the real danger of the storm. Captain Ward looked around at his team. "You've all done well," he said. "The Queen has seen us now, not as weak humans, but as a force that endures. She may not fully understand us yet, but she cannot deny what she has witnessed." Hale touched his bandaged arm, feeling the throb of pain and the reminder of survival. "This wound," he said softly, "was the beginning. And every challenge we face, every danger we survive, is proof of what humanity truly is. We rise no matter how great the odds." Outside, the stars glittered against the dark void. The galaxy seemed endless, yet the humans had begun to carve their place within it. Their endurance, their courage, and their hidden strength had already begun to change the Queen's perception. And deep within her, Serafina realized something profound. Humanity's power was not in what she could see, but in what she could barely imagine. This was only the beginning. The galaxy was quiet after the storm. The meteor shower had passed, leaving damaged colonies, fractured ships, and shaken Sarathians in its wake. Yet among the humans aboard the Aurora's Light, a quiet pride filled the air. They had endured the trials, faced real danger, and survived with courage and determination. Even their old wounds had not held them back. Captain Elias Ward moved among his crew, inspecting minor injuries and checking on supplies. "We did more than survive," he said. "We showed them what humans are. They will not forget this." Ambassador Daniel Hale nodded, his bandaged arm a reminder of the journey they had undertaken. "The Queen saw it firsthand," he said. "Our endurance, our unity, our willingness to face danger, she could not ignore it. Now we stand not as weak creatures, but as equals worthy of respect." The alien Queen, Serafina, sat in her private chamber, reflecting on the events of the past days. She had witnessed the humans endure every trial, adapt to the storm, and lead efforts to save lives when her empire faltered. She had expected weakness, but she had found something far stronger. Her thoughts returned to the moment she first saw Hale's wound. At the time she had been stunned, unsure of what she was witnessing. Now she understood. The wound had been a symbol, not of fragility, but of resilience. Humanity's hidden power was not in their bodies, but in their spirit. A knock at the chamber door interrupted her reflection. Lord Kaelor entered, bowing deeply. "My Queen, the humans. They have changed how the nobles see them. Even our most skeptical warriors are questioning their judgment." Serafina's eyes softened. "They have earned that. They endured when others would have fallen. They rose when we expected them to break. Kaelor, they are more than we ever imagined, perhaps more than we have ever faced." Meanwhile, the humans were summoned to the Queen's hall. The nobles filled the seats, their whispers quieting as the Queen entered. She walked among them, her presence commanding yet thoughtful. For the first time, her expression held warmth, though still tempered with authority. "Humans," she said, her voice steady, "you have faced trials that would break even the strongest of my warriors. You have endured fire, cold, exhaustion, and fear. You have shown courage when danger was real, and wisdom when solutions were needed. Your wounds and struggles have not weakened you, they have strengthened you. This is something my empire has never seen." The hall remained silent. Every Sarathian present felt the weight of her words. The humans, standing tall despite fatigue, met her gaze with quiet dignity. Hale stepped forward, his voice calm but firm. "We did not seek glory or recognition. We acted as humans always do, together with hope and courage. Strength is not only in power, but in perseverance. That is what we bring to this galaxy." The Queen considered him carefully. She had ruled countless worlds, faced enemies armed with devastating technology, and led an empire that valued strength above all. Yet in all her experience, she had never encountered a species that survived wounds, hardship, and fear with such resilience. She finally spoke, her voice carrying across the hall. "From this day forward, humans shall be recognized not as weak outsiders, but as equals within the Sarathian Empire. You have earned respect not by conquest, but by endurance. By rising again when others would fall, you have proven a power beyond measure." The nobles bowed, acknowledging the declaration. Even Lord Kaelor, who had doubted them, nodded in quiet admiration. The humans had not only survived, they had earned the respect of one of the most powerful rulers in the galaxy. Back aboard the Aurora's light, the crew celebrated quietly. They had faced the trials, endured the storm, and proven themselves to the alien empire. Each person felt the weight of accomplishment. Lieutenant Mara, exhausted but smiling, spoke softly to Hale. "Your wound. It showed her something she could not ignore," she said. "We all endured, but that moment made her see the truth." Hale nodded, touching the bandage on his arm. It was not the wound itself, but what it represented. Humanity survives no matter the odds. We rise again. That is our strength. Captain Ward joined them. And now the galaxy sees it too. Not just the Queen, but the nobles, the warriors, the people of her empire. They cannot deny our endurance. Humanity has begun to stand among the stars as equals. Days later, the Queen summoned Hale once more. She walked with him across the station's observation deck, overlooking the recovered colonies below. "You have taught me something few species can," she said. "Strength is not always in the blade or the armor, or even in the size of the body. Your kind endures. You rise again when faced with danger and pain. That is a power my empire cannot ignore." Hale looked at her calmly. "It is not power alone that matters," he said. "It is persistence, courage, and unity. We carry each other when needed. We do not let one fall alone. That is what makes humans strong." Serafina studied him, her gaze intense but thoughtful. "Perhaps this is why your wound startled me. It was not weakness I saw, but proof of hidden strength. Humanity's endurance is remarkable." Hale bowed slightly. "We only do what we must. That is how humans have survived for generations." The Queen turned to the window, watching the stars glitter across the endless void. "Your kind has changed how I view the galaxy," she whispered. "We have ruled through strength, yet your endurance surpasses what I imagined. Perhaps the galaxy will be stronger with humans beside us, not beneath us." Hale stood quietly, knowing words were not needed. The Queen's acknowledgement was enough. Through trials, through wounds, and through danger, humans had proven their worth. They had earned respect, not by showing might, but by showing courage, endurance, and the quiet power of survival. In the following weeks, humans and Sarathians worked together more closely than ever before. The Queen allowed them access to her council, to her warriors, and to her knowledge of the galaxy. Humans shared their own wisdom, their ability to adapt, to endure hardship, and to find solutions in times of crisis. Serafina observed it all, understanding slowly that strength was not just about power. It was about the spirit to rise again, every time. The humans' reputation spread throughout the empire. Stories of their courage, endurance, and unity became known among colonies and planets. The galaxy had witnessed something rare, a species whose greatest strength was their persistence. Even those who once mocked them now looked with respect and curiosity. One evening, Hale and Ward stood together on the observation deck, looking out at the stars. Hale's arm had healed, leaving only a faint scar. It was a small mark, but it carried a great meaning. "That wound," Ward said softly, "started all of this. It showed the Queen something she could not ignore. Our strength isn't just in surviving, it's in rising again after every fall." Hale nodded. "And now the galaxy sees it too. Humanity has begun to take its place among the stars, not as weak outsiders, but as beings whose endurance can shape the future." The stars shone silently in the void. The galaxy was vast, full of mysteries and challenges yet to come. But humanity had proven something powerful. They could endure, survive, and rise again, no matter the odds, and the alien Queen, Serafina, would never forget it. From a simple wound to trials, from danger to survival, humans had earned respect in the galaxy, and in doing so, had shown that true strength comes not from power alone, but from the unyielding courage to rise again and again.